far that I can't even hear me streaming from inside me. Am I human? Do I really exist? Am I nothing at all? And you just make the call. Am I human? Do I really exist? Am I nothing at all? And you just make the call. Hey, now can you reach me? I'm a million miles away, so far that I can't even hear me streaming from inside me. Maybe we don't have a place. Am I human? Do I really exist? Am I nothing at all? Can you just make the call? Am I human? Do I really exist? Am I nothing at all? Can you just make the call? Am I nothing at all? Can you just make the call? Do I really exist? Am I nothing at all? Can you just make the call?
And we are live, Scuttlebutt, episode 2, with my brothers Michael Graves and Enrique Tarrio. How you doing, gentlemen?
What up, what up?
What's up, guys?
Yeah, man. So that's a very heartfelt song, man. No need to explain. You know what I mean? Like, I heard that song the other day, brother, and I felt like it was the perfect song for the place and time that we're all at, man. Each and every one of us, not just you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you.
So in the pre-show studio, Mike was playing his acoustic guitar there. I think now when we start, we got to get Mike to play instead of playing his videos, because it was you play amazing, and you're like, the audio quality was great. I felt like I had like my MP3 player on, listening
Nice.
right on my headphones. So
I'll play. You say the word. I'll grab the guitar. I'll play it in. I'll play it in from now on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, there's something in the works. You know, I don't want to give too much away, but it's about to be official over here on Scuttlebutt, for real.
Yeah.
So the main thing that we wanted to talk about, man, I mean, what's on everybody's mind, apparently, you know, especially in the music industry and, you know, the punk rock circles, is your taking on of the black and gold, brother. You know, we've seen, you know, a few articles. I got a few articles pulled up, ready to go, man. What have you experienced, man, since popping that Perry, brother?
Well, I really can't see much anymore because Facebook. I've been deplatformed off Facebook. My Facebook is gone, and my Instagram as well was pulled down a couple of days ago. You know, as well, there was those articles that were written that just added fuel to the fire. You know, again, I was working with a couple of different companies that I was doing projects with. Those companies and those individuals have backed out. You know, and these are people that you know, especially the you know, two companies. I'm not going to mention names, but the two companies, the individuals that were a part of that were friends of mine, and for reasons, you know, for their security, they work with other bands, they work with other people, their family, you know, the people that are trying to take care of their families, they just can't be associated. They were receiving threatening emails and phone calls that they themselves were obviously very concerned about. And so my relationship and my business with them is no longer. Again, like I said, and there was another project that I was working on. I will not mention who it was, but just to protect their integrity and their career, they needed to, and it was mutually agreed upon that they separate themselves from me. My European agents gone, a bunch of shows in Germany gone. They were hellhole Antifa squats anyhow.
And to be clear, I mean, you know, the reason it was a mutual agreement is because, I mean, you don't want, you know, to take, you know, anybody down with you, you know. And I mean, in terms of, you know,
right.
your touring and your livelihood, that's exactly the direction, I mean, it's going, is down, you know. And just the way that the circular firing squad works, you know, the second that there's any known affiliation or ties to you, is when those bullets start flying, you know. So I mean, that's you taking your people's interests at heart, you know.
That's right. These are people that I care about, and people that care about me, and whether they agree with me or not is not the point. It's just guilt by association. If you're going to work with Michael Graves, then any other, you know, we're gonna boycott your bands. We're gonna boycott your business. We're gonna continue to send emails and just make life hell for anybody that is associated with Michael Graves. My guitar player, this kid that I've known for 20 years, supposedly my friend, my brother. I had a conversation with him. It was really over text. That he wanted to lay low, and he wanted to, you know, he wanted to sort of back off and just kind of, he didn't want to be part of what was happening. Said, all right, that's fine. I understand there's incoming fire right now, and you don't want to be part of it. Fine. Just lay low, you know, and we'll figure it out. My daughter today comes up to me again. I've known this guy 20 years. My children refer to him as Uncle. And he says, my daughter says, you know, Uncle just posted this, and it was how I've betrayed him and how I betrayed all my business contacts, and just basically giving credence and giving red meat to all of these other fuckers out there that are calling me racist, that are calling me not, all of us, you two, calling us all these names and just adding fuel to the bullshit fire that we've all experienced, that we're all under. So yeah, I like I was saying, I said to somebody, yeah, I've shaken the tree, and most of the monkeys now have fallen out, and I really know who my friends are now.
Yeah.
So the fallout continues.
No, and it's going to continue. Not talking about Proud Boys. I'm talking about, like, I guess people in general, conservatives in general right now. I guess the Proud Boys kind of accelerated the process, but you were already feeling the heat from your political views in your industry, right? So what I'd like to tell you is, like, this was going to happen eventually, regardless of whatever you did. It helped accelerate it, but we all go through it. So I had a security company. I worked in the security industry for about 15 years. I had DoD contracts. I did all the major retailers. I did like all their loss prevention stuff, and I built up. That's my trade, right? And even before I joined the Proud Boys, I already saw that I couldn't be two people at once. I couldn't let my business life and my personal views intersect with each other, because I kind of saw it coming. I would get banned on Facebook for saying certain things, and I'm like, okay, this is probably going to get worse. I remember somebody had said it on my Facebook. They're like, okay, they're just going to start censoring conservative voices, Trump supporters or whatever. Me joining accelerated that process. Like, my business is destroyed. My trade is completely gone. I was able to travel the world the whole year and still make money from wherever I was, because my business was automated. So when they shut that down, I became a garment salesman, right? I sell T-shirts and hats and stuff like that. And I adapted to the situation. So Thad, you said something where, it's only down from here, which I think is inaccurate. I know you didn't mean that in any way, but I think it's inaccurate. I think you could only go up from here, because you see, we as humans, like, we got to put food on the table for our family, and we want to be successful. We want to thrive. And I think right now, just looking at this, the sooner that you push that foot forward and you find a way to combat this, you find a way to be completely independent of any of these platforms.
Sure.
I've been pushing Parler a lot these past couple of podcasts. And regardless, like, I don't want to depend on a social media network to define who I am, to define what my views are. What should I do? What would my fans like? I worry about, number one, I worry about God. I worry about family. I worry about country. I worry about brotherhood. And anything else below that, obviously, I enjoy. But like, those are my priorities. And how do I put those in priority? I have to become independent. I have to be who I am and not hide it anymore.
Yeah.
And Mike, I don't know if you went through this, but like, sometimes, like, when I would go to customers' houses, I had to be completely quiet about my platform, about my political views. And I was in a house where it was, Hillary supporters or whatnot, and I didn't care. They were Hillary supporters. I offered them a service. I work with them as like any other client, but I felt like if there was anything that I would have said that would destroy, you try to keep politics in business. But now my business is politics, so I could be as fucking offensive as I want, and I could spread my views, and I don't have to be somebody that I'm not. I could be myself the entire time.
Yeah. So, one of the key things that I just took from from what you just said, and things that have actually been true in my life as well, because I've had to take a different avenue. I worked in the veterinary industry, man. You know what that's like, working with nothing but very liberal, strong-willed women. Being a 235-pound Mexican dude, you know what I mean? It's tough, man. So I think one of the key things that I took from my old man was that necessity is the father of invention. You tend to invent things when you have to. You find a way. One of the craziest inventions I've ever seen was so simple. It was a bottle with most of the bottom cut off, and it was shoved over a jailhouse shower head, so you could actually get water directly on you. You know what I mean? These guys that were locked up. I spent 2 weeks in jail for some trumped up nonsense, and it was just like, wow, these guys are just the most ingenuitive people ever, and that's because they have to be. You know what I mean? Like, that might be a poor example, but you see what I'm saying, right? Out of this, comes a whole new path.
Is this this a segment in the show where we talk about like our experiences in prison?
That's the extent of mine, brother. But I mean,
we're gonna need if it's gonna be about prison, we're gonna need a whole other show. I'm kidding. I ain't that bad.
I have no fear standing on my own 2 feet. Like I said last time on the show, when I started conservative punk with 2 other people, and took on punkvoter.com, that was raising hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, and it was just me and a couple of other people. I was canceled back then, again, and threatened, and everything came to a screeching halt. And everything from then has been me being doing it on my own, DIY like a motherfucker, and I'm not afraid. I know what's happening. I expected this to happen. And again, like I said, there's a lot of, I know that there's a lot of young men looking to me, to us, as an example. And the example that we're setting right now, even though it's hard, right now it's hard. There's a lot of incoming. But that's the point. When we stand up straight and we put our chins up and we say that we will not buckle, because we know that we are not wrong, and that we are not what social media or the press defines us as. And what was also said on one of our broadcasts was that sometimes when you look out at Facebook, you look out at Twitter, that's not reality. Sometimes it seems like that's the whole, that's the entire environment that we're working in, but that's not the truth. And so when this is all said and done, it's us that will be standing on the right side of this. I know that.
Absolutely, man.
And Twitter, like you said, it's really important to know that Twitter isn't exactly how the world sees things. And digging deeper into this cancel culture thing, you know, in 2016, I've had my Twitter since 2006. And in 2016 is when it really got exciting. You know, Twitter was pretty much boring. There was some, I think I didn't sign into my account for like 3 years in the late 2000s. But in 2016, it just became electric. You know, it was tweets and the news and the media cycle, and some of the biggest supporters of the president, some of the biggest conservatives, the charismatic, the funny, the charming people in Twitter that made it, that gave it life, those people don't exist anymore. So I tell you, 2016 Twitter was probably closer to reality. It still wasn't reality, but it was closer to reality than what it is now. It's a giant echo chamber. They had, you guys saw the story on Nick Cannon. He got canceled. Obviously, they canceled his show. At the left-wing Jewish community on Twitter and the left-wing Nick Cannon and BLM supporters, like, they were at each other's throats. They're in this echo chamber, right, where it's a purity spiral on either side. Like, who's what individual is oppressed more? So it's kind of comical to see. I'm kind of happy at the same time that I'm banned from Twitter, because it's kind of like, you know, I don't want to paint Jack Dorsey in a good light. It's kind of like Jack Dorsey's like, hey, just stay on the other side of the fence and watch this, you know. And I get to see everything from the outside looking in without even having to comment. I'm just watching them tear each other apart. So there is, I'm looking at, like, I'm trying to white pill the situation of censorship, which isn't cool. And I think you know, the DOJ should go ahead and take away the Section 230 protections that Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram thrive on. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. This freaking echo chamber is the best thing to happen as far as entertainment goes on Twitter, because He's trying to regulate people fighting with each other and saying nasty words, and he doesn't know that that's basically what the internet was made for. You know, how many times? Like here, perfect example. So I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't. I don't. If I go to a place to eat and the food was great, like my first reaction isn't, oh, I'm gonna get on my phone and give this place a good review. But if the food is shitty or the food's crappy, you know, I'll probably, and there's very little times that I've done it anyways, but I'll probably go put like a 1-star review on it. You know, so all these reviews, they mean shit. Most of the internet is negative. Everybody just goes there to complain about life instead of celebrating things. You know, the little black square, and I'll do it again tonight. I'll do it again right now. This little fucking black square means absolutely nothing. You've done nothing for the cause. You're virtue signaling something that you don't give a shit about. But we live in such a great society here in America that we have to find a reason to be oppressed.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, no, man. I think Candace Owens said it best. Real quick, Mike. Real quick. I think Candace Owens said it best when she said the world isn't woke Twitter. You know, I mean, it really isn't, man. You know, I think our friend Patty, you know, also tried to make that point to me. I think that's where we were talking about it last time. But you know, it even with. Did you see the Twitter hacks, Enrique? You didn't see the Twitter hacks?
Hey, let me call you right back. I'm in the middle of a show.
Let me just real quick point out what bullshit that article that's up on the screen right now. None of these outlets, these press outlets that have written about me, none of them contacted me. And I see down there it says that you know, my posts drew plenty of ire from former Misfits fans, so much so that I've deleted my Instagram account. I didn't delete anything. I didn't delete anything because of pressure from fans that are upset. Like I said, I will never ever apologize. I will never bow or kneel to any of them for anything because I didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
I didn't delete my shit. I was taken down.
And notice just the wording, man. I mean, Misfits alum Michael Graves ripped for joining Proud Boys hate group. Automatically. It's just hate group. It's not inferred. It's not. This is direct. Yeah, exactly.
And, Christian Long never reached out to me and never asked me about what was going on.
Is Christian Long the writer of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, they never reach out to anybody. They write these stories. They don't care to get your side. They just want the spin. They want the clicks. They want the ad revenue. Fucking retards.
Yeah, they never mention anything else that I've done or any of the other posts with my children or any of the. They don't mention that I'm a born again Christian. They don't mention any of that, or they just pile on the bullshit.
That doesn't get the rage machine going. It doesn't.
That doesn't make anybody mad.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, look at this from a business perspective. You know, talking about your children isn't going to get them clicks.
No.
Talking about how you're banned or how you're a white supremacist or you're a Trump supporter, because the top tries to. The headline on the article. Yeah, the headline on the article. It tries to bash you for being a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Right? And like it's like, oh, Proud Boys hate group and Trump supporter. So you were on your way to get banned anyways.
Definitely, I definitely
regardless.
was. And I feel I don't feel one. I don't have to defend. I don't feel like, and nobody should feel like they have to defend their character and prove to everybody that they're not a racist, or I'm not a racist, or I'm not a Nazi, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. That's
makes no sense.
There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to do it.
It's just another clear example of the double standard, brother.
And I'm gonna, and I know that you'd probably feel the same way, Mike. So I've been banned, I probably have like 17 Twitter accounts. I have one right now, just in case Jack Dorsey's watching this. I have a Twitter account. Okay, it's at Enrique_Tarrio. It's lasted about a month. I've never like championed. It doesn't matter how extreme left someone is. I've never championed for somebody to get banned, or like, I think the only thing that I've celebrated as far as a ban go was somebody that celebrated me getting banned, and I still advocated. And his name's Ed. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Christastine or whatever. The dude that would be like the first person to like tweet under the president, and Twitter banned them for like manipulation of their platform. And he's on Parler right now, as a matter of fact. And even then, I was like, haha, you got deleted. And in that same tweet, I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I'm not going to celebrate it, because as much as I hate this guy, I don't want him to be silenced.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've never celebrated it. And now you're seeing the same thing that you're seeing right now, Mike. I saw it with people celebrating me getting banned. And they're like, oh, this is great. They're going to silence us. Well, let me fucking tell you something to the people that are like celebrating your ban. You're fucking next, dude.
Yep.
You're fucking next. They're going to ban you. I'm going to sit back. And I'm actually going to laugh. I'll defend you, but I'm going to laugh at it for what you did, for celebrating somebody getting fucking their voice silenced. And it's cool. It's fine. You don't need that to live. I'm fucking dope in real life.
I love it. This is what I say, Enrique. It's like, hey, all right, well, I mean, you can have or say your whatever it is that you're saying, or whatever way that you want it, but I mean, the bottom line is that I'm me and you're you, therefore I win. Yeah. That's just how it is. That's what it is, brother. Okay, guys. So I know you guys, I already told you guys, but we do have a special guest today. This is a gentleman that I met at the Provo rally, the Black Lives Matter rally, after the incident where we had one of the Black Lives Matter supporters, or appeared to be a Black Lives Matter supporter, shoot into a moving vehicle that was trying to get by them. So we went there. That happened on a Monday. We went there on a Wednesday. Overall positive experience. This gentleman approached me after I spoke there, and he admittedly is of leftist ideologies. He did have an interesting, story, and we spoke for, I want to say, at least 10 minutes, and we actually saw eye to eye on more than I probably thought that we were, and I'm sure he did also. I wanted to bring him in here because we did talk about cancel culture for a second, and so I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. This is Indy from Utah. So
I'm going to mute him.
How you doing, Indy?
Yeah, I'm going to mute him.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm kidding.
You guys hear me all right?
How you doing, brother?
What's up,
Yeah,
man?
we can hear you, brother.
All
Yeah,
right,
man.
hold
So
on.
just
I might do that. That might be a bit better.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
Us? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Andy. So go ahead and tell the audience, man, what your interpretation of our first meeting was, man. How did you take our first meeting?
I mean, I knew from the get-go I wasn't going to agree with you on everything. I was really proud of the organizers that who got involved and gave you the opportunity to speak, right? Because part of the problem is we don't give the other side an opportunity to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very proud about that. Now, I'm not going to agree with everything that anyone says, especially on the left. I am very concerned about the idea of like thought leaders or, being brainwashed by the people that you trust the most. You should always have criticism of everyone. So that having said that means I am not going to agree with everything you say either. Mm-hmm. But the way I try to put it is that most of the time, it's going to be a difference on nuance, not a difference on a starting position. Most people agree, for example, racism is bad. Most people agree that there are certain things that happen that are bad, but how we interpret them and how that conversation goes, and most importantly, how we treat each other based off of those interpretations, that vastly changes from person to person. So that's one of the reasons why when you spoke about unity, that really clicked with me. Cuban Nazi.
He's talking about Enrique.
I decided to go off. Oh,
yeah.
I was like, I'm not Cuban. No.
He's talking about Enrique.
But yeah, so I went up and I spoke to you. I'd never heard of you before. I mean, I've only heard of Proud Boys via the what's on the news for the most part, you know.
Right.
I've got people in my family who self-identify as Proud Boys or self-identify as Boogaloo, Bugaloo, whatever, you know, like I've got people that self-identify as those things, but they don't have much connection to other people. They're up in the middle of the forest in the Northwest for the most part. So they don't know a lot of these people down on the ground in these movements one way or the other. When I spoke with you, I was interested in some of the policies that you were aware of. I thought that was great. And but basically the unity thing was the most important part to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's important for us to be able to have these conversations and not face repercussions from people that we align with, you know. And I mean, that's the case, you know. It's see it my way or nothing at all.
I hear you, Indy, but
now
we have to figure out everybody. You know, here the four of us, we're talking about unity and how the other side. How in the world can we ever reach unity when, for example, you look at what's happening to me right now, what's happened to Enrique, what's happened to, you know, Thad, and how that story, you can repeat that story over and over and over and over, where we're the ones that are being attacked. We're the ones that our livelihoods are being destroyed. Our reputations are being destroyed, right. And our ability to fight back by articulating our side of, you know, giving our opinions is taken away. And then when we go out onto the streets and we try to have our voices heard, we're the ones that are attacked violently. And then when we defend ourselves, it all gets spun that we're the ones that have done the attacking. How do we thread that needle?
Exactly. So now we're actually getting closer to cancel culture, right? And I was unfortunately had some really weird shit happen when I was waiting in the chat, that my whole computer got shut down and I was trying to figure out a secondary method. I have no idea what happened there at all. But I did click back in enough to hear a little bit about your story. I don't know. I honestly not too familiar with a lot of like I said, the Proud Boys or a lot of the Latinos for Trump or anything like that. I've been trying to get a little bit more aware of those things since meeting you. And specifically, I didn't know I was going on this today when I put this on.
Look at that. You see that?
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah. It's amazing. Like I said, there's so much in common, yet we have to sit on so far opposite ends of the table. You know what I mean? And there's really no point to that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
right.
One of the things that you guys talked about. Oh, so go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to hear you out.
I was gonna say, one you guys brought up, most of them I actually have kind of thought about talking if I have the opportunity to, but one that I don't think I hit enough on is this idea of saying the right words. That's a part of cancel culture, and I'll get into all the other stuff about it when I have that opportunity, as much as I have that opportunity. But Mike, you said specifically that you shouldn't have to say, I'm not a Nazi, I'm not a fascist, or to just say the right words. And me and a lot of the left that I deal with, not liberals, not the pretenders, not the LARPers, but the actual left on the ground, 100%. Hey, quiet dog. Let me know someone's
He's a
here.
dog.
But we agree with that, because if
Person.
that is a number one tactic of Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah.
They say, I'm
Thank
not
you.
a Nazi. It's the
Thank
number
you.
one thing. They'll
Well-
say they're a leftist. They'll say they're a Republican. They'll say whatever it takes so that they don't get caught. And that goes for, you know, other things that we should be concerned of, not just Nazism.
Yeah.
It's just so ridiculous. It's like, why even address it? That's the way we feel. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Go ahead, Enrique. I know you were going to say something, man.
So I think, and Thad, you said it. You said, you know, when we finally talked, we agreed on more things than we thought we would. And that's actually been, with people that I had dialogue with, that's actually things that I see. Like people that actually give me dialogue, we're like, okay, well, we don't want this. We might have the same problems, maybe in a different list of priorities, like they're listed in different sections in our priorities. But when we do agree that
he's right.
Yeah. When we do agree with a problem, another issue that we have is that we don't agree on a solution. And we usually fight with people because of that, and we fight viciously, and we shouldn't, but that's how it happens. So a lot of people say Proud Boys, so I'll give you a quick little rundown on my personal views that a lot would consider left-wing. So I joked around in the beginning of the show about, hey, are we going to say our prison stories or whatever? And I was in federal prison for 10 months for a white-collar crime, and I deserved to be in there for 10 months because I fucked up. It was a victimless crime, so maybe a couple months less would have been great, but whatever. I deserved my time there. And one thing that I did see is how fucked up the prison system is, right? And how fucked up private prisons are. So I'd like to do away, and it's actually one of our Proud Boy tenets is to do away with private prisons, right? We want to abolish private prisons for profit. And I think that that's something that the left is fighting for, and specifically here in Florida, I caught a lot of flack. There's this thing called Amendment 4 here in Florida, which gave felons the right to vote, nonviolent felons the right to vote again, and it was authored by Democrats, right? So I believed in that. So you know what?
Absolutely.
I went to go door knock with Democrats. You know how much shit I got for it? You know, oh, the felons, and what are you gonna do? I'm like, they're nonviolent felons, dude. They were caught with like an excessive amount of marijuana, or they were caught, you know, white collar crime like I was. But I didn't care. The Dakota, not the Dakota Access, yeah, the Dakota Access Pipeline. A lot of people are surprised that I feel the same way as the left does, and I felt like that was wrong. But I felt it was wrong because it was for different reasons. I felt like you shouldn't take private property from Americans. Fuck this identifying as something. I feel like corporations shouldn't be able to take money or land from Americans just for profit. That's something that I don't agree with. So as long as we talk about those things that we agree with and we focus on those problems, we could compromise. We could come to an agreement. Those things that we don't agree with, like immigration policies, is something that the left and right are at odds with. Huge. Okay, let's not touch that topic. Let's start fixing these little things that and we'll deal with immigration at some point, and we'll come to an agreement. You know, I'm willing, if we stop, and here I'm going to go with my right-wing self. Let's stop illegal immigration. After we stop that, then we could come up with like some type of compromise on bringing people. Damn, I keep showing my hands in here, like. but then we could come on. But we need to start focusing on things that we agree on, dude. If not, we're not going anywhere. We're just gonna fucking argue all day on Twitter.
Right.
At least some of us will.
Yeah. So let me ask you something, Indy.
Well, and part of it too is. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Real quick, man. So, would you fear backlash from speaking to us directly about any of this stuff? Like, let's just say
me.
Yeah, you specifically.
The only backlash I'm afraid of, the reason why I have this on at all, is because of my livelihood, because of people who will associate me with their version of Antifa or something like that, when I'm just a guy trying to provide for his family. I haven't really been on Twitter that much since we last talked. In fact, I created it explicitly to talk to you.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
get bogged down in those echo chambers too much.
Yeah.
You don't have to, see what they're saying about Mike Graves or what they're saying about System of a Down's BS on one side or the other. You can Google all that without Twitter. And it's the same thing with these mainstream media news agencies. I don't have to watch CNN or Fox News, both of which I vehemently disagree with, in order to hear the crap they're saying. It's forced on me anyway.
Yeah. So there was a couple figures that you had mentioned to me. One of which being Peter Coffin, right? That's his name, Peter Coffin.
Yeah, Peter
okay.
Coffin.
Yeah. So
identify. Yeah, great guy.
Yeah. So just real quickly, man, and then I'll go ahead and give you the floor. I checked out a lot of what Peter Coffin has to say, and a lot of it is what I would consider to be more classic liberal. More classic liberalism. With the basic, right to say or feel whatever you want to say or feel. And I'm sure that's why you directed me towards him. But what I was gonna get at,
the modern left.
What I was going to get at is that I had seen something with Peter Coffin and another female that he, I guess, does some things with. They had been called out by other members of the left or other left-leaning individuals, for not being left enough. And that's the reason that I ask, would you fear any kind of, backlash or repercussions or anything like that? Because it's extremism, and it's extremism on both sides sometimes, a lot of the time. It's some people, and maybe even in our own club, maybe Proud Boys, would not appreciate the fact, that I would, try and discuss something with someone with left-leaning ideals. You know what I mean? I haven't faced that, but it's a possibility. We do have liberals in the Proud Boys. We have all shapes, breeds, sizes, all that stuff. You know what I mean? So
I was about to say Brad Chadford, but he changed his name.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the name
formerly known as.
I don't even know what his name is anymore.
Patty. Shout out Patty. We love you, brother. Yeah. Patricia. So yeah, that's the thing, brother. You know what I mean? It's extremism. These ideas. Or this idea that we can't come to the same table and discuss things is just pure extremism. And it really has no place in logic or reason. And I think that was one of the shining things that you and I shared. It was just like, wow, this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? We're actually able to have this. And you didn't look scared to be seen with me at all. Because a lot of the time I try and talk to people and they see their friends, watching them interact with me. And you can see the shifty eyes, and it's like, oh shit, I better stop doing this. I better stop being reasonable for
Nazi. I'm out of here, Nazi.
Yeah. No, I think I had one guy say, "Oh, this dude just wants clout. This dude just wants clout." I was like, "Oh, there's a whole page dedicated to clout on Telegram." But you see what I'm saying, right, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. In Angie's case, it's actually pretty similar to my own. Because I don't have a platform where people who want to call themselves leftist are going on, I don't have to worry about what liberals think of me, because the way I was taught, the way I was raised by police officers, military, was not to give a crap what anyone thinks as long as you're doing good, right? Liberalism, classical liberals and the modern left have the same exact philosophical foundations. It starts in John Locke, goes through Proudhon, and kind of separates from there. And so that's something that the power structures that exist, like the Democrats who are authorizing the same use that the people who are protesting in these cities, they're authorizing the use of tear gas. They're authorizing the use of these things these people are protesting against. Agree or disagree with it, but it's the Democrats who are making it happen. They're not in. Provo is a rare example because it's actually a pretty small town, pretty heavily conservative Mormon community, which I have a lot of connections to. So in that case, both power structures are at fault. It's not just this idea that, the Democrats are going to fix everything. or, oh, vote for Joe Biden. Angie, Peter, even myself on Facebook, when I get on and talk to my friends and family with the people who lean towards the vote blue no matter who nonsense, get upset at me when I say, no, I'm not voting for Biden. I refuse to do that.
So I gotta go here in like the next like 5 minutes.
No, that's fine.
But,
yeah, we can go ahead and close up.
But I wanted to talk to ND here for a second, and I wanted to ask you a couple questions. So Andy, so I obviously we don't have enough time to know each other and get in depth with these things on just like one podcast. I'd love to at least have you on again at some point, or have you on my podcast and discuss these differences first, and then discuss on the things that we do agree on. But you're for like at least minimizing. You were talking about like tear gas and stuff like that. You're for minimizing the government in some way, right? Like kind of like not have this excessive power, right?
That's the difference between a liberal and a leftist. Real leftists, by definition, want to control of the federal government over the individual, whereas a liberal is all about that Leninism state control as long as it's woke.
Okay, so and then that obviously that maximizes the amount of freedom you get because there's less people telling you what to do, and obviously more responsibility. You're responsible for yourself, and you're not big on cancel culture. Regardless of a view, as disgusting as some views are, and I'll agree with you, like some of these NatSoc guys have fucking disgusting views, but I don't want them to be silenced. I feel like the best way to go ahead and sterilize that is with light. You get me? Light shines and you're able to see what people's true views are.
Is with criticism.
Yeah, so you could criticize
absolutely
them. So we're anti-racism, like we're pretty much opposed to racism. You know, that's right. I'm pretty sure you brought that up. You shouldn't be like I shouldn't have to hide who I am because my skin's brown or whatever. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, Latinos aren't a monolith. My family is mixed race. They don't have the same experience that someone, even though my wife is first generation, that is someone else who is first generation has that doesn't speak English. You know, that's a very different experience.
So, yeah, you shouldn't feel any.
Shouldn't have to hide that.
She shouldn't feel any shame for it.
Absolutely.
How are you on gun rights?
Oh, so that's another big one that is a huge misconception. You basically have the Democrats specifically want to make the left look like these big scary Marxists who are going to put in a Maoist government, right? Mm-hmm. But if you look at the theory behind it, if you look at the people on the ground, especially a lot of the stuff, look at the videos going out on Portland right now. I'm not saying I'm going to agree with everyone who's doing anything out there, but these are people who care very much about their arms, who care very much about tyranny. Whether you think they're right or you think they're wrong, they don't want to get rid of their gun rights. So the thing I hear all the time is I want gay married couples to be able to protect their marijuana plants with guns.
Yeah.
No, I agree with all of that.
I 100% agree with that.
I'm stealing that, brother.
That's
Thank
pretty
you.
Good.
Yeah, I like
that's
that.
pretty good.
Good job.
So,
well played.
So another thing that I mean, women, right? Like we feel like there's like an assault on women, like for their decisions, for like if they want to be independent or they want to be at home taking care of their kids, like. There's like this constant assault on how a woman decides to live her life, and obviously I feel a little bit more inclined to say that that a woman that decides to go home is getting some shit from like other men or other women for wanting out of her own free will to stay home and take care of her kids. So do you think that that's a problem?
I've seen both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen both. My mother was raised, at first 3 kids by herself, working three to 4 jobs for a while, and later on, when we got established, she got remarried and all that. She ended up wanting to stay home for a little bit. Both times she's faced flack. The problem with criticism, more particularly cancel culture in general, and I really hope I get a chance to go more into detail. I know we're running short on time and all. Is the idea that just because they're doing the bad thing, that the thing that you disagree with, right? It doesn't actually have to be bad. That it's fair play, that they're doing it for the wrong reasons, or that if it is a bad thing, that all bad things are created equal.
Got it.
So someone who says the N-word, who might be able to be, hey, I don't like when you say that, and be like, oh, I'm sorry, man, versus someone who is threatening to kill people, they get treated the same by that cancel culture system.
Got it.
Fair enough.
I agree with you 100% on that. And last question, I promise you.
Which is good. That's bad.
Yeah. No masters. So business owners are probably, I think, and I want to get your feeling on it. I think business owners are probably like the most like, and what I'm saying is like small business owners are probably like the most independent people in the United States right now, because they officially have the least amount of masters the least amount of masters that most Americans do. So most Americans, we have a pretty big government, so that's our master. But your everyday life, when you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and you're slaving over somebody else and making somebody else money. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but because that's how everybody starts. But I feel like the day that somebody picks up and goes, hey, I need to do this for myself. I need to be self-sufficient. I need to be green. I need to, and I'll put it in like a more environmentally friendly thing. If I want to build a house that's off the grid, away from everybody. I want to grow my own stuff. Should those people be glorified?
Should people who want to be self-sufficient be
glorified?
Be glorified?
Not glorified, but at least like looked up to. Like that's somebody's goal, to be self-sufficient and have no masters.
I find that idea appealing. That's what I'm working towards right now. Okay. I have my eye on about 20 acres in Oregon that one day, when I've saved enough, I want to buy. I know it's by a lake. I know it has a water source. I know everything about that land, but that doesn't mean that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm doing pretty good for myself. I can't complain. I had to work really hard for it. Got help from people, but did a lot on my own, of my own initiative. All that. The idea of a small business owner is really appealing to me because they are the people who own their own work. They are their own bosses. What they produce when they like, for example, if you own a airplane machinery, a factory, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you own that thing and it's smaller, not one of those large where you're just building a ball bearing every day.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're literally building these small kit planes that people mail out and buy for about $6,000 and they build them themselves, when you see that little duck plane go by, you go, I did that. That's me. You can take a lot more pride in that, and that's something that leftists 100% agree with.
Okay. So judging by the small interaction that we had, you had the dog come in barking, and you said that the dog's there to protect. You spoke about your wife.
Absolutely.
Right, while she was there, like you weren't ashamed of it. Like you were like, yo, this is my wife, blah blah blah, and So I see you with that small interaction that you're a good person. Now I want to sign off and telling you this, and Thad I think knows where I'm going with this. But you just checked off 10 of 10, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, I am out of here. I got to get to work. I have to work on these beautiful machines over here, and I got a whole bunch of things to do. Love you guys. Appreciate you. ND, I'm going to ask Thad to see if I could communicate with you somehow. I'd love to have you on the show and continue this conversation, but you checked a 10 of 10 on it.
10 of 10.
I like it.
Yeah.
You don't even know it, ND. You don't even know it, brother.
All right, man.
Yeah, man. No, hey. So, go ahead and plug your show, Enrique. Tell them about War Boys.
Okay, so the way that you can find me, I'm only on Parler. I'm exclusively on Parler. You can find me at Noble Lead right on there. You could support my work. You could go to 1776.shop. I got a whole bunch. I don't ask for donations, right? But I got a whole bunch of cool shit that you guys can buy. I have like 700 different styles of t-shirts, cups, mugs, hats, a whole bunch of stuff that are made here in the United States of America. And I have a podcast called the War Boys Podcast with Joe Biggs and Rufio on Thursdays at 9 p.m. We might actually, oh wait, no, that's tomorrow. We were supposed to have a show today, but a second show today, but tomorrow at 9 p.m. And that is also exclusively on Parler at War Boys Podcast. Mike, love you, brother.
I love you,
Brad,
bro.
Love you.
Love you,
Indeed, love you too, brother. I am out. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right, Enrique. Yeah, so closing up, what I wanted to say, Mike, what did you think about, it's pretty amazing, that we can sit here and talk to ND. And, Enrique mentioned, him bringing up his family.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main things that ND has that allows for him to think in this way. He mentioned his upbringing, with the military and law enforcement family.
Yep.
I think, ND, that you have the distinct advantage of having, an additional perspective that some people might lack. Okay, you have Go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say the thing that puts me the most at odds, right, is I have the education, know where the problems are, but the personal upbringing to respect how things actually are.
Yeah.
Whether or not I consider them a problem. Yeah.
And it's all about perspective,
which isn't
brother.
to say, absolutely, and that's not to say I'm against the family or against it. Obviously not. I'm building one myself. But I do get both sides of the flack when I speak up against liberals or I speak up against conservatives. When I call it as I see it every single time, and that gets me in trouble.
Point. That's the point, brother. That's the point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. You don't jump into the left camp fully. You don't jump into the right camp. You don't join the Democrat team. You don't join the Republican team. You think for yourself. That's certainly that's the American way. That's who we are. That's why we've gotten here after 244 years, because you have a society that has stood on their own 2 feet and rejected that group think.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It comes down to being your own man. You don't find it necessary, to align yourself one way or the other because you see the truth. And at the end of the day, the truth is all that matters, brother. And having said that, ND, we're already at an hour, brother. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Hey, I really want to thank you for coming on with me, man. I knew it from the jump.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to tell you straight up, like one thing that we consistently feel amongst each other is a sense of real, recognized real, brother. When I met you, there was no judgment. I didn't see a tinge of judgment in your eyes. Of course, that's all I could see at that point in time. But I didn't pick up on any of that. You came right up to me, no hesitation. A lot of the time when I get approached, there's a twitchy face or shaky hands or something like that, man. And I'm a nice guy. I'm not trying to be intimidating. I try and make people feel as comfortable as possible, even if you don't like me. Even if you think I'm a Nazi, even if you think I'm a fascist or whatever, you know, and I didn't get any of that from you, dude. So thank you for that. It's super uplifting, and it fills my heart with special stuff, brother. Whenever somebody will actually have a discussion with me, man. So I really appreciate your time and your willingness to come on here and discuss these things with you, because it's not easy. You know, it's not easy at all, man. So respect, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Andy, let me just send you off by saying I'm a very spiritual guy, right? They refer to me as a punk rock preacher, and God speaks to us sometimes in the little ways, and being able to see those little things helps us get to the truth, and it empowers us. When you came on the show tonight, you said, you know, you didn't know that I was going to be here. You didn't know that was Michael Graves from the Misfits. And look at that shirt that you're wearing. Those little coincidences are amazing. Corinthians, 1st chapter 10. I appeal to you, brothers, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you agree, and that there be no divisions among you, but that you be united in the same mind and that same judgment. It's nice to meet you, Andy. I hope that we hear more from you.
Here we go, brother. I'm gonna go ahead and post an image up real quick, and it coincides with exactly what you're saying, man. So let me go ahead and pull that up over here. And regardless of your belief system, brother.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, excuse me, guys. Again, ND, I really appreciate your time, brother. Thank you for joining us on the most punk rock podcast in the world ever, right now, this time, America, this place. I appreciate y'all's time. Mike, love you, brother. ND, love you as well, bro. So catch us next time. Same bad time, same bad channel. We'll probably have a little surprise for y'all next time. Isn't that right, Mike?
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Big things. All right, guys. See you next time.